So, this is the outline of my fight with Leasewell and the director, owner, Ian Evans Piper. It is also a response to some of the comments that I've been reading from some of you, which need clarification around this dispute. I'm not just some random guy who has decided to pick a fight with someone for nothing. Click off the video if you want, but wouldn't you rather know why you are being asked by him to become a collaborator of wrongdoing first? If you've decided to stay, let me start by offering up a brief history to this. I bought a Ford Ranger from Leasewell on the 29th of December 2020, the tail end of last year, costing just shy of £26,000. The makeup of that decision to buy was based around several telephone calls that I had with their sales executive, Bridgend Evans, the owner's stepson. Asking some basic common questions about a second-hand vehicle, I was informed that it came with a full service history, and that was lie number one. That it came with a warranty, lie number two. That it was in perfect condition, Brandon often referring to it as brand new, mate. And there was lie three. Of course I know it's a used vehicle and only covering 6,500 miles. Sorry, 13,000 miles. 15,000 miles. Lie 4 and lie 5. I knew we'd establish the actual mileage at some point. I mean, this is about them changing the mileage on the advert twice after I'd shown interest in the vehicle, but hadn't bothered to inform me that the mileage on their original advert was actually incorrect, something I discovered for myself after it had been delivered. Using the phrase "it's brand new" suggests to me, anyway, that someone has personally inspected the vehicle, driven it, seen it inside and out, who can then endorse that it's in excellent condition. Lie number 6. I was also informed that it had come off a lease purchase agreement that Leasewell had had with an existing customer. But as this customer could no longer afford the payments as a direct result of COVID and him not being able to work, Leasewell agreed to cancel his contract, take the vehicle back and give him something smaller and cheaper that he was more able to afford. That being lie number 7. Finally, asking about any outstanding finance, I was told that this had been cleared. Lie number 8. So that's 8 lies. I've called them lies, as really I don't know any other way to refer to these. Yes, one could say they were all mistakes, errors, blunders, oversights, little white lies as opposed to big red ones. But I just refuse to accept these to be anything other than a considered ploy to achieve a sale. Being stuck in North Wales due to the lockdown restrictions myself, and Leasewell being in South Wales, I was unable to test the vehicle, and as such, I had to pay for it up front before arrangements could be made for its delivery. Slip up number 1. This was a verbal contract that I did agree to, and on the basis that everything was fine and okay with the vehicle, and I was assured again that everything was fine, and on Saturday, January the 2nd, 2021, Brandon delivered the vehicle to me. Upon his arrival, he informed me that he needed to get to Enterprise Car Hire before they closed at 12 noon. I already knew he was hiring a car for his return journey, but what I didn't know was that he had to get there and do all the paperwork before they closed at 12 noon. The nearest Enterprise being 30 miles away. And as he arrived at 10:45, we literally had 10 to 15 minutes to exchange 2 keys, the driver's wallet, the locking wheel nut and the V5 slip. Slip up number 2. When I got back from dropping him off, it began to rain heavily, so I didn't have an opportunity to properly inspect the vehicle until the following day, Sunday the 3rd of January 2021. This is when I drove 11 miles to a business yard where I have a storage container. I wanted to test the four-wheel drive system, but as soon as I selected it, all hell broke loose. The back wheels locked up periodically, and driving off meant that they were being dragged along the car park surface. They locked and unlocked. Putting it back into two-wheel drive, this solved the issue. Thinking this might have just been a simple glitch, I selected the four-wheel drive mode again, but the same thing happened. At this point, I text Brandon to advise him of this issue, and in a response text, he assured me that he hadn't noticed this driving up the previous day, but it was still under warranty. I drove back to base worrying about the previously unobserved clunking and metal noises when changing gear after re-engaging the two-wheel drive mode. Now, just to clarify the timeline here, although I had taken delivery of the vehicle 24 hours earlier, I had only driven it for about an hour up to the point of discovering this issue. On Monday, the 4th of January 2021, I telephoned Brandon to discuss this and afterwards confirmed our conversation in an email. Ironically, it was when I asked him to clarify that he hadn't experienced the four-wheel drive issue on the drive up on Saturday, as stated in his text, that he explained he hadn't actually tested the vehicle in four-wheel drive mode. Slip up number 3. At first, believing that this would be a simple process and trusting what I thought was a good relationship with Leasewell, I agreed to contact a main Ford dealer to arrange for them to look at it under the terms and conditions of the warranty. Slip up 4. I called the local main Ford dealer the following day and was informed that this may not be covered under the warranty. They advised that the vehicle would have to be booked in for a full inspection, which would then generate a report, and this would be sent to Ford headquarters, who would decide if this was something that the warranty would cover. If Ford rejected this as a warranty issue, then not only would I have to pay for the repairs, but I would also have to pay for all the associated costs of the initial inspection too. In addition to this, Ford were not making any appointments for any vehicles until the first week in February 2021 as a direct result of lockdown and restrictions. I decided to run this by a second main Ford dealer also in the area, who confirmed everything that had been stated by the previous Ford dealer, including the restrictions around the vehicle booking. However, the mechanic I spoke to here suggested that I check the oil, as this might help in identifying with the clunking sounds. As advised, I went out and checked the oil and found that there was a very small amount of residue on the end of the metal stick, known as the dipstick. At the same time, I noticed the levels of the coolant and brake fluid were sitting below minimum. Switching the engine on at this point, there were no warning symbols lit up on the dash, apart from one saying, "Change engine oil soon." Now, whilst I fully accept that this could have been the result of something completely unrelated to the four-wheel drive system and issues, I just find it a bit suspicious that after only a matter of hours, I'm experiencing these problems with the vehicle. I've since spoken with another mechanic who has stated it is highly unlikely this is related to your four-wheel drive issue. This is especially important given that Mr. Evans Piper still hasn't managed to produce the pre-delivery inspection document they claimed to have carried out prior to the delivery, nor has he provided me with any of the information I had requested about the vehicle and its history, all which were crucial details and documents that would have allowed me to understand the footprint of the warranty and how these issues might relate to the terms and conditions of the warranty. Even today, almost 6 weeks later, and despite asking for this information on numerous occasions, Mr. Evans Piper still hasn't produced any of it and has left me hanging. To clarify, I am alleging that there were absolutely no checks carried out to this vehicle prior to it being driven 4.5 hours and delivered to me in North Wales. I base my allegations on everything I have discovered about it since, and on the accounts of 2 separate mechanics who have stated it would be unusual to have fluid losses of both brake and coolant to this extent overnight unless there was a serious defect, in which case you would not be able to drive it. And it sounds more like these were historic levels and not checked before you took delivery. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. But I am someone who expected a roadworthy vehicle and one without any issues as promised. Anyway, back to the facts. On Wednesday, January the 6th, 2021, I sent an email to Leasewell copied to Mr. Evans Piper, his PA and branding, informing them that I was officially rejecting this vehicle on the grounds of it not being of satisfactory quality, something I was advised to do by trading standards, who also informed me about the limited time frame I had to initiate a short-term right to reject covered under the distance selling regulations as well as the trading standards regulations. These rights would have elapsed if I had waited for Ford to look at it in February, and I simply wasn't prepared to wait or inherit all of these difficulties. At the same time, I sent this section of the video to Leasewell, which was taken on Sunday the 3rd of January upon discovering the issue as a visual evidence. But like everything else, it has been glossed over. And this is where everything becomes polluted by executive interference. It took 10 days for anyone at Leasewell to come back to me on this, and during this time there was absolutely no acknowledgement from anyone, despite the fact that they are a company regulated by strict protocol of their membership and affiliation with the BVRLE. In fact, I was forced to send several emails to everyone at Leasewell during this period, asking for someone to please communicate with me, but no one did. Since then, I have experienced a mountain of difficulties with Leasewell, but more so Mr. Evans Piper. Trying to get him to take responsibility and ownership has felt like extracting a rotten tooth from an elephant and then carrying out root canal treatment. That said, all this time has allowed me to uncover a collection of other important and legal particulars that relate to this vehicle. After speaking with Ford HQ, I was informed that there was no warranty against this vehicle. It is currently invalidated because the service portfolio warranty certificate hadn't been completed. There is no authorised dealer stamp, there is no authorised dealer signature, and there is no authorised dealer date, all which are required at the point of the original sale to activate the warranty. Ford also advised that as things stand, this would present a problem for all and any warranty issues. However, it could be resolved by taking the vehicle back to the original supplier and getting them to complete the warranty certificate. Clearly, this is something that should have been checked and remedied prior to selling it to me. And even after highlighting this weeks ago, Mr. Evans Piper has continued to ignore me and the importance of how this relates to the overall sale of this vehicle. It now seems apparent that I have simply become a thorn in his side, and that he feels the most pragmatic approach is just to continue ignoring me. In addition to this, according to the service book, the vehicle hasn't received its 6-month or 6,000 mile interim service. But even if this had been done under the radar, Ford have no record of it on their system. It is a prerequisite of the warranty terms and conditions. Ford then warned me that as things stood, the vehicle wasn't covered by any warranty. But even if a warranty had been active on the vehicle, this would flag up a legitimate concern over the contractual obligations between Ford and the original owner, who in this case was Leasewell. And as such, Ford are within their rights to refuse any warranty claim. Furthermore, the vehicle has outstanding finance, but I was informed that this had been cleared prior to the sale. A reminder of lie number 8. This essentially means that Leasewell were selling to me so that they could pay off outstanding finance, but hadn't bothered to inform me of this or put in place the correct procedures. In light of the enormity of issues that have arisen from something that I was led to believe would be a perfectly straightforward transaction, now to include that this vehicle is forced to sit outside unused for the entire 31 days of January until Ford can inspect it, but not under warranty because it has none. I think most people would agree that this is entirely unreasonable to expect anyone to adopt this level of issues or the enormity of what this transaction has exposed. Okay, so let's look at this another way. You buy a TV from your local Argos or another retailer or eBay or any second-hand shop. They deliver it, and the following day you unbox it, switch it on, only to discover that it doesn't work or that there is a fault. You contact the shop, right? Because you've just spent £1,000 on something that isn't working. To your astonishment, the shop refuses to acknowledge anything from you for a full 10 days, leaving you hanging and not knowing where you stand or, in fact, where your money has gone. They then come back to you with all sorts of lies, claims and excuses, mainly focused on intimidation and forcing you to accept a repair rather than a refund, which is what you have requested and are legally entitled to. Now, a refund is something we are all eligible for, and under these circumstances, we are protected by the varying trading standards regulations, which include laws for distance selling to sole traders, which is what I am. Now, if you're truly absorbed enough to make comments, then perhaps you will look at all the evidence here so that you have proper balance. Spewing out hate comments and or supportive comments without first knowing the actual facts seems a little clumsy at best. All you're doing here is approving the deceitful actions of a friend, a colleague, a family member. And I'm not sure what that says about you. I love that you want to defend your friend, your colleague, your family member, or whatever relationship you have with Ian. I genuinely admire that commitment to someone, but there are always two sides to everything, and the smart people will refrain from fiery posts and will want to know a bit about both sides before forming any allegiance or posting hateful, defamatory or rude comments. All I see here is a man willing to involve you all in wrongdoing, making you all accomplices in something that he himself has created. I'm not asking you to alter the way you engage with him, and I wouldn't. But why would he want to announce this himself? It's puzzling. After all, he himself has posted this from an unrelated YouTube channel that you probably would never have seen on his own Facebook page. So perhaps you should be asking why. There is only one way to look at this, and that is that he is being completely disrespectful and taking advantage of you and all his followers by inciting you and them to become accomplices in this debate. To actively stand by someone and support transgressions that you know nothing about seems somewhat careless, and yet you're perfectly happy to blindly condemn the actions of an individual, me, who is standing up for his rights in the face of adversity. I am absolutely defending my right to expose someone that has behaved in an appalling manner, someone that has actively breached trading laws that are in place to protect us all, someone who has lied and caused undefendable amounts of stress and anxiety, and yet thinks it's okay to sit back and taunt me along the way. Folks, this may not be the Ian that you all know, but it's the only Ian that I've got to know, and this is me telling my side of the story. Now that he has involved you all in this, all I can ask is for you to think about being in the same position as me, handing over £26,000 and getting something that was missold to you from a collection of lies, false declarations, and serious inherent issues, both mechanical and contractual. You then give the same seller an opportunity to resolve all these issues, only for them to sit back and completely ignore you. This seller then goes on to mock all the professional correspondence, detailed emails, and a complaint document that you were advised to send them by trading standards and legal advisors, only for this to be used by them as sarcastic assaults as they rest a while, point their finger, and laugh in your face. Don't just be a comment. Be a comment that actually matters, one that means something, one that has value, that adds value, but more importantly, comes from an open mind that has at least taken some time to manage and understand that there are always two sides to everything. You've had his side, and this is mine. The difference is that I have solid evidence that backs up everything I have stated, and I absolutely stand by every single claim that I make. It's factual, it's honest, and it is current. I don't lie. I don't need to lie, and I don't sit around making shit like this up just to give me something to do. My time is important too, and like many other small businesses, I too have been decimated by the changing platform we know as COVID. And in an attempt to rescue what is left of my small business, a business that I have had for 30 years, I've ended up trusting another company who has completely taken advantage, not just of me, but the barriers that we are all facing as a result of COVID. How you look at this now is entirely up to you, and I'm genuinely not trying to influence any reactions, just simply putting my side forward. The best that I can hope from this is no comments, but I know that won't happen. So please bear this in mind. I'm not trying to hurt anyone close to Ian, but I am fighting my corner with the only tools he has left me with, and I will continue to fight it. If that means there is an exchange of angry, hateful, defamatory comments towards me from all of you, then at least I'll know you are all intolerant to fairness and that I've probably wasted your time.